her if she got pregnant. On the spot, she pitched this elaborately stupid plan of us hiding my pregnancy and then passing my baby off as her own, as if we didn't live in the same city as all our family. Basically, I told her she was crazy, and we went back and forth for a bit before she threw a full-blown tantrum, screaming about how ungrateful I was and why couldn't I just do this one thing for me. And she stormed off and locked herself in her room, where she promptly went on her phone and aired out my entire situation on Facebook. Well, within the hour, both sides of my family knew. My father, equally an entitled jerk but separated from my mother, showed up with his girlfriend at my door and informed me that they'd already set up an appointment for the following week with a local adoption agency, and that they knew I'd do the right thing, which I did by packing my stuff and couch hopping with friends for a bit until I got on my feet. This honestly wasn't the worst thing my entitled mum has ever done to me, but it was definitely the turning point to realizing I didn't want or trust her around myself or my child. Anyway, I haven't really talked to or seen either of my parents since, and now I have a charming 3-year-old boy and a lovely fiance, so life is much better. That is amazing to hear. Right, okay, fine. Is this the most stupid one so far? Oh, this is perfect. Can I have your baby? How about no, but for $1 million, yes. Now that didn't actually come into part of this story, but my question to you, OP, is for $1 million, would you have sold your baby? That has got to be tempting. I know I'd be tempted. In all seriousness, this is a weird story. I don't really know what your mum was actually thinking of this entire time. Do they want you to give your baby up so they could adopt it? I don't really understand what's going on. Like, both your parents are just mental. And overall, it's just great that you got out of there. As you can tell, I'm still quite confused. This honestly wasn't the worst thing my entitled mum has ever done to me. Right, so what's she done then? Apart from trying to steal your baby. Things are worse than that? I don't even want to know. I'm joking. I do. Make another post, please, OP. Let's carry on. Leaving a 2- and 4-year-old with a random woman, me, and her toddler. So, this just happened, and I'm so angry. This week has been rough. My toddler is going through some rebellious phase. My husband was away all week with our car, and my mother-in-law, who babysits for us, is on vacation. I am a work-from-home mum, and there were some emergencies at work. Let's just say that I am exhausted. So today I took my daughter outside for a long walk with the stroller and decided to grab lunch at a local food court. As I get our things, she's being really fussy, but I managed to calm her down. A dad with 2 small kids sits next to us and places his kids on high chairs, almost bar stool height. Not children's high chairs, but regular adult ones, without straps or even a back. He strikes up a short conversation with me as our daughters are similar ages, and then when I'm trying to feed my kid, I hear him say, "So guys, you look after each other and the bags, the nice lady's here, I'll go grab a coffee." And before I say anything, he's gone. I was surprised, like very surprised, but alright, I can understand.
Shopify helps you sell at every stage of your business. Like that, let's put it online and see what happens stage.
And the site is live.
That we opened a store and need a fast checkout stage.
Thanks. You're all set.
That counted.
A fellow parent being tired and needing a coffee. I bet he'll be back in a minute, right? Nope. 15 minutes later, my meal is completely untouched as I try to keep my toddler sitting while persuading 2 kids that I've never seen before to not jump down from their bar stools. The older one was nice and wanted to chat, but also tried to jump down and go and look for his father multiple times. The younger one is just a toddler herself and is afraid of the height. So every time I turn around to my daughter, she goes to jump down on the hard floor. I'm losing it. This is not what I need today. Another 15 minutes later, so half an hour in total, the dad finally comes back with a Starbucks cup. The Starbucks is not even in the food court, it's on the other side of the mall. He goes, "Sorry guys, there was a queue," and doesn't even look at me. I feel myself ready to say something nasty, so I just grab my completely cold food, wave bye-bye to the kids, and leave with my daughter. What the frick? Who does that? What would he do if I just up and left? If my child started screaming and I just had to leave? The place was crowded. He'd never find his kids, who were nice enough to tell me they were 2 and 4 years old. I feel like a gullible idiot for just caring for that idiot's kids, but I couldn't live with myself if something happened to them. None of that was their fault. Thank you so much for reading my rant. My daughter just fell asleep and I needed to get this out. Oh no, and there we go. Saving the A stupid post to last. Something that I don't even plan on doing, but it seems to happen quite a lot these days. You left a 2 and a 4-year-old alone for half an hour in a shopping mall. Like, I'm sorry. It's a weird thing to say, but at that point they deserved to be kidnapped. Not the children. They don't deserve that. They're obviously nice people and will grow up to be phenomenal humans that contribute to society very well, I am sure. What I mean by that is this dad does not deserve to have children. Like, this is not a carer, this is not a guardian, this is not a parent. This is an absolute imbecile. Yeah, fair enough. Maybe he's addicted to Starbucks, and I don't want to blame Starbucks for this, but I kind of do. Is Starbucks the reason why a lot of children right now are being abducted? Comment down below. My boyfriend asked for a paternity test. As soon as the results show he's the father, I'm leaving him. I'm a new mum to a baby boy who is my pride and joy. And though it's been a roller coaster adjusting to taking care of a baby, the past few months have been great. Tiring, but great. I have a boyfriend of 3 years who is the first person, relationship-wise, that I've ever loved. And I thought we were doing great as new parents, but also as partners. Friday, he came home and he asked me for a paternity test. Just like that, completely out of the blue. I was putting away the dishes and he asked for one, like he was asking what was for dinner. I'm a different race from him, but our child, apart from the skin tone, is literally his mirror image from pictures I'd seen of him when he was a baby. I was stunned when he asked, and his reasons were that he had to be sure he was the father, he had to have that certainty. All I remember as he was speaking is just immediately feeling pain. The man I love doesn't trust me. He would actually believe that I would screw someone else, cheat on him, and then try to pass off another man's baby as his. I've never ever given him reason to think I would cheat on him. I've tried to be transparent and communicated, but it wasn't enough. He told me he would give me time to think about this, that he wouldn't go behind my back and do this test, but for our relationship to move forward, he needs to be 100% sure. He repeated this because he, in his words, needs you to realize how serious I am. After thinking for a couple of days, I'm going to allow him this paternity test because I have nothing to hide. I never cheated and would have never cheated on him. Once it's proven that he's the father, I'm ending it. I'm leaving the same day, and I'm going to try my best to be a cooperative co-parent with him. In the meantime, I'm coming up with my exit plan. A place to live, and a lawyer to work out a custody arrangement and courts. I can't even tell my family or my friends right now, because they would go nuclear, and my first priority is our child. I hope the test was worth it to him. I'm not asking for advice or reassurance or to explain his side. I'm just realizing this part of my life is now over. What a way to start the new year. And what a way to start this episode. But without further ado, the whole point of this subreddit is that we get to know what happens next. So here is the first update 3 weeks later. We did the paternity test my boyfriend wanted. It's been a couple of weeks since I posted, and I've just been navigating things after. I'm going to call my boyfriend, Mason, to keep things clear. This is going to be long. Sorry, don't be. Also, why post this on Reddit? I don't know, guys. I don't know. But to clarify a few things. One, we're different races, but to my knowledge, his family plus extended is more than okay with it. His mother actually set us up. I went to a dinner party and he and I were the only single people who had been invited, and we hit it off. She admitted to trying to set us up for months. 2, we have had no issues with cheating or any situations where things could be sketchy during the years we've been together. We also haven't broken up or taken any breaks. 3, our son is his mirror image. My boyfriend confided to his cousin about the paternity test a couple of days after he asked me, and the cousin told his wife, and it spread like wildfire, especially in their family group chats. His mum put an end to the speculation though by doing a half and half pic of him and our son, but also adding some additional individual pics of both of them. She posted the pictures in the family group chat and said, "Look at the old pics I found of Mason." After people commented, she said, "Actually, the one on the right is my grandchild, or this one isn't Mason." Literally, the family members just thought that it was the same person in all of the pictures and that some of the photos were taken in darker lighting. That is how much our son looks like him, which I find funny but also a little annoying. Like, I carried you for 9 months, all for you to be a copy of your dad. I didn't see the group chat, but the topic died down when his mum did that. Anyway, we talked. When I'd made the first post, I was so angry and planned to leave, but the anger was quickly replaced by hurt once I calmed down. I realized if I blindsided him like that, I would be doing the exact same thing that he did to me when he asked for a paternity test. I planned to ask him to talk, but I also didn't want him to think that I was trying to get out of the test. So beforehand, I booked an appointment at 2 different paternity test locations. I asked him to talk when he came home, and I made sure our child was at my mum's. I told him that whatever happened with this talk, the paternity test had been booked and would go forward. I basically asked him his reasoning, and when he started having doubts about paternity. Was it a previous relationship? Did cheating happen? He said it was about a week before he asked me that he started having doubts. He said that he was on his lunch break one day just reading articles, and he clicked on an old article about a man who found out his 3 kids weren't his after like 20 years. This led him into a rabbit hole of podcasters and YouTube videos that encourage men to ask for paternity tests. While he thought those podcasters were idiots, he said that paternity was an exception. He said his reasoning was that some women have done this before and he wanted to be sure. He said, "You know it's yours because the baby comes out of you, but how do I know? This test gives me that assurance." I was hurt by that, but I decided to explain how I felt. I said that for him, it was a rational request, while for me, it was basically him saying that he didn't trust me. It was him saying that he believed I would cheat on him, get pregnant, have him emotionally, financially, and physically support me during the pregnancy and birth, and basically lie to him while he raised another man's child. I told him that I understand that women had done this before, but the fact that he thought I would do this to him is what bothered me. I told him the truth, that when I was angry, I'd planned to leave, and I even went looking into a lawyer, a co-parenting plan, and a new place to live. He was stunned that I'd leave for something so small. I found that to be a weird kind of irony, that he believed issuing an ultimatum about a paternity test and basically accusing your partner of cheating was something small. I told him I was really hurt by what he said, that I was still hurt, but that if he needs this peace of mind, that we would do it. He asked what about our relationship, and I told him I didn't know. We did the test 2 days later, got the results back after 3 days. He opened both of them, and to the surprise of no one, he is the dad. He was visibly relieved when he read the tests, and I don't know why that hurt more. It's been about 2 weeks from the results, and I'm still really hurt. God, I sound so pathetic. I feel pathetic. I thought the results would maybe relieve some of that, but it didn't. It's like a switch clicked when he asked for the test, and I can't find a way to click it off. I'm pretty sure that postpartum is playing a part in this because all I do is cry, and I wasn't like this before. I've also moved into the spare room, something he was against, but I felt bad because apart from when our son is awake, I'm sad all the time. I'm looking for a therapist. I don't know how people find therapists they like so quickly, by the way, and he wants to do couples therapy and is looking for one. He already has a few appointments booked just to try them out. He wants to move on, marriage, more kids in the future, and go back to where we were, and thinks that our relationship is now stronger. While I'm just thinking, our relationship right now is weaker than a person on stilts. I don't know if I would say we're together. The physical affection is gone. I'm not in the right mindset, and I don't want him to touch me. We rarely talk about anything but the baby. It's awkward, and I'm trying to find a way back to where we were, and I can't see how. I'm going to try and fix this and try therapy, individual and couples, but I just have this feeling that this is basically a sinking ship. I hope I'm wrong. I want very much to be wrong. And now moving on to the final update that was posted just a couple of weeks ago. I left. Things have gone downhill, and under advisement, I can't really discuss it until things have been settled in court. I guess I'm really a cautionary tale on what can go wrong. Please, if you have concerns with your partner, discuss things beforehand, especially before you have a child. Thank you again for your different perspectives, hoping to have everything settled eventually. And there we go, a truly horrible story all in all. I personally can't think of anything worse than being in OP's spot here. And by the way, all the time when you're saying you feel pathetic, you're so pathetic, you're definitely not. Like, it's as simple as this, as you said it yourself. The trust that you have with your partner, who you're about to have a kid with or have just had a kid with, is completely gone. That's not pathetic. That is literally what the entire relationship is about. And also, if he doesn't understand why that's such a big deal to ask for a paternity test, then is he really someone that you want to be with anyway? That's such an obvious thing. And look, even if he really does want to get a paternity test for whatever reason, he has to understand why that's such a terrible thing to ask for, surely. It just goes against everything that a relationship would ever be, in my opinion. Sucks. I will say though that from my perspective, again, I obviously don't know what's really going on, the inner workings of the relationship, how it is day to day, but from what I've just read, I think you've made the right decision. I don't really know what you mean by things have gone downhill and you can't say about it because of a court case. Fair enough. I hope you're safe and it wasn't, too out of hand. But yeah, to me, it does seem like it's a good thing that you left. And that is just compounded, to be fair, by the final update. Okay, moving on to our next post. Now, this one was also posted on r/true off my chest. My sister is infertile and I'm glad. I am a 28-year-old woman and I have an older sister, Angela, who is 30, whom I've never liked. She always had to compete with me, but never in a normal sibling rivalry way. Our entire life, she always seemed resentful of my existence, as the spotlight couldn't perpetually shine on her, so she had to step on everything I enjoyed. Per se, if I learned piano, she had to learn piano. If I excelled at a subject, she suddenly became a scholar in it. If I told my mum I had a crush, Angela would be dating that boy in a week. I'd always tell my parents when she did this, but I was disregarded because sisters copy each other, and I can't gatekeep what she likes. She always monitored what activities I did and the clothes I wore, so she could outdo me. If I wore a flannel, Angela would come to school wearing an all-flannel dress. It was 2010 and that was peak fashion in our school. There was also more praise that followed Angela. Even if I took the initiative to begin the activity first, she was praised because she was better. My parents would miss work to attend her dance recitals, going to every single one because the world would stop if they missed it. However, I remember maybe 2 of mine they attended because they were stuck at work or were otherwise preoccupied. Angela reveled in this. She'd make comments under her breath around our parents. Whenever our parents weren't around, she'd tell me how much she hated me and how I should stop trying because I'd always come second to her. She also physically bullied me in school. Angela purposely tripped me, threw things at me, and hit me in the hallways on a nearly daily basis. The school had gotten involved multiple times, threatening Angela with suspension, and my parents fought it every time. My parents repeatedly told administration that this was a family matter and we were just bickering like normal sisters. She was never once, though, reprimanded by either parent. Once, Angela was caught impaling a cat on the school fence, and my parents still defended her, saying this was normal teenage behavior. Oh my god. I often was the one in trouble, as Angela would start crying, saying how she was being targeted by the school when I had antagonized her. After one of these occasions, Angela cut and bruised herself to prove to Dad that I was the aggressor. Wow, that is so manipulative. I became a pariah due to Angela's malicious rumors about me, so it was difficult for me to make friends. I resorted to only befriending people from other districts. Angela eventually made sure I had nobody by stalking them, befriending them, telling all my friends lies about how I was favored by our parents, and I constantly bullied and belittled her. She even stole boyfriends of mine doing this, convincing them I was horribly mean and an awful person that copied her every move. Once, she catfished me on MySpace for 4 months and baited me into sending her nudes, which she proceeded to send to my parents and everyone in school, including teachers. What? This woman is mental. Later on, she told one of the boys I liked that those were actually her pictures and that I had catfished her. I can't actually quite believe what I'm reading. This is one of the most disgusting people I think I've ever come across, ever. Let's carry on. The day of my high school graduation, my mum sat me down and told me Angela revealed the horrid abuse she'd suffered at my hands and that I was no longer welcome in their home. After moving out the next day, my parents made very few attempts to communicate with me, only the occasional holiday and birthday text. All financial aid was also abruptly ended as soon as I stepped foot on campus. I met my now husband shortly after this, and we were married within a year. They did not feel inclined to attend my wedding or even congratulate me. I informed my parents when I had my first child 8 years ago as an opening, but they have made no attempt to contact or meet any of my now 3 children. Best I know of Angela now from what I've heard is that she got married to one of the boyfriends she stole from me in high school, and she's been posting about her infertility issues and how she can't offer my parents their first grandbaby. After years of silence, I received a text at 8 this morning from my mother that I will copy and paste below. Hey OP, it's me, your mama. We haven't talked in a while and I surely miss you terribly. I wanted to let you know that your sister just had a miscarriage earlier this week. Angie and Justin are struggling a lot right now. Send something a little sweet her way. I'm sure she'd appreciate it. Get back to me. I love you. I hate to say it, but I'm glad she's suffering. I'm glad she doesn't get to be a mother. If she tormented me for years, what would she do to a child, especially a girl? I don't wish death on any baby, but I know in my heart that child would be damaged by her. I'm angry at my parents, expecting me to have any sense of obligation to her. I don't even have any sense of obligation to them. They always believed her and dismissed me. I was always the problem child. And it's strange how my mother can be so warm to me when asking me to do something for my sister. Also, the fact they cared more about my sister's now dead fetus than my actual children, who wonder why they've only got one set of grandparents. I feel some sort of guilt for it, but I refuse to offer any condolences to my destructive, narcissistic sister who's been justified in her bad behavior since birth. Maybe this will change her, help her develop empathy or any type of emotion that isn't hate or vindictiveness. If that happens, I would be more than willing to offer support, but until then I feel nothing but a small inkling of happiness that she's hurt. Am I awful for this? My gosh, I mean, guys, update of course incoming, but first of all, I need to answer that question, and the resounding answer is quite an obvious no. Like, again, as I said during that, this girl, your sister, is one of the most malicious people that I've ever come across in any of these posts ever. Like, I genuinely do mean that, and I know that sounds a little bit hyperbolic, and I do say that sort of thing quite often. This time, I mean it. Like, there's levels to this, and this is just demonic, honestly. It's like devil-like. It's Satan personified. It's unbelievable, it really is, and I'm so sorry I have to deal with this. So then, nonetheless, what's going to happen now? I've got no idea. Let's get into the update that was posted a few days later in the comments. Hey, I'm back with an update. I wanted to thank all of you guys sincerely for the comments, awards, and personal messages I've received. I feel very emotional knowing that my account of my childhood is finally being believed and met with warmth and support. It's been hard for me to talk about, as many believe I'm being disingenuous or overdramatic. It's hard to believe, so I get it. So really, thank you all from the bottom of my heart. I decided not to respond to my mother. I blocked both of my parents, and I thought it would end there. But when does it ever? Wednesday morning, my messenger was being flooded with texts from my parents' siblings. Most of the messages consisted of me being told I need to answer my mother's calls and how callous I was being. I proceeded to block all of them as well. My cousin heard this from her younger sister, who was subject to being around my parents and Angela for family dinners. My mother and her siblings all live within a couple of blocks from each other and eat together most nights. I'm very sorry to hear that. Alright, so here is a transcript of some of the things that OP's cousin's younger sister heard the family saying about OP, and Aunt Kathy is OP's mum in this. Angela kept calling OP an abusive ingrate because she wouldn't talk to Aunt Kathy. Aunt Kathy said they needed to start inviting OP to family stuff, so she comes around to being a surrogate. You know, guys, I was wondering when that word was going to be mentioned. It got weird real quick because Angela said she wants to use my husband's sperm so her kid is tall and has blue eyes. Then Kathy, OP's mum, was saying how they just need to be around her for like a year, then they can cut her off again, or whatever. Angela kept saying that OP is the only way she can have kids because she doesn't want to raise someone's trash baby. Now, reading those messages made me want to hurl. Do they think that my uterus is some fish hatchery that can be bought with some kind words and casserole? It's nice to know Angela is too much of a narcissistic butt to adopt though. I am officially done with every single one of them. If they try to come around me, I would get a restraining order before they can even darken my doorstep. Between the weak conspiracy they've come up with to try and use me like a baby bargain bin and the nasty words they continue to speak about me, I will no longer claim to have a family outside of the one I've created. I'm sorry if this is difficult to read, but reading that again just got me so worked up. But you guys got the update you asked for, so that's the silver lining, I guess. Anyway, thank you guys again. And there we have it. Again, much like the first story there, guys. What is this? Those are two of the deepest, darkest stories I've ever read. An entire family just against both people, both posters. It just sucks to see. It's this weird, they're the nice people. It doesn't even matter that they're the ones reading it or writing it and that it's coming from their perspective. Obviously, you would say that's a little bit biased, but it doesn't even matter because it's so clear from the way they're talking, the events they describe, that those things have happened to them and that they are the nice people and they're just being picked on by their horrible family members. It's crazy that this exists, but yeah, back-to-back stories of just super tough situations, but good outcomes. With that one, 100%, keep doing what you're doing, block those. This is the incredible true story of how a man used Reddit to save his brother's life. The only thing you need to know before we get into this post is that this happened during the Buffalo blizzard of 2022. Now, Buffalo, New York is known for its snowy winters, but the blizzard of 2022 has been called the storm of a lifetime. 48 inches of snow, that's 122 centimeters, fell in about 48 hours. With the wind chill, temperatures dropped to -30 Fahrenheit or 34 degrees Celsius, just incomprehensibly cold. The conditions were so bad that emergency services were suspended, and tragically, 40 40 people died. So without further ado, let's get into this. This is a post from r/Buffalo from the 24th of December 2022 titled, "I need urgent help." My brother's been stuck in his car since afternoon. He is near address removed. He's running out of gas. We tried our best to reach out to the fire department, police, and tow companies, but didn't get any help yet. Please, someone help me. Any help or suggestions would be really appreciated. Now, here is a comment from a local about the conditions in the area. Volunteer firefighter here. Our trucks cannot move in this snow. We are getting stuck. We cannot get to anyone at the moment. At least 50% of the town's fire apparatus are stuck somewhere. I hate to say this, but if you can contact him, tell him help is probably not coming. He's going to have to get resourceful. Knock on doors, do something. There's nothing we can do at the moment. We are snowed in the fire hall. And here is another comment from another user, Spore. I live close by. I can bring some gas and warm clothes probably. If he's up for it, I can walk him back to that fire hall. I live near that area. And now we're going to jump to a new post written by Spore on r/Buffalo just a few hours later. I saw another post on here saying somebody was stuck on street removed near Crabapples. Well, I think to myself, hey, I only live about half a mile from there. I bet I could help this person. And I made the decision to go. He's been stuck there all day and his clothes were wet from the snow trying to leave, so I knew he was in need of help. So I'm getting myself ready. I grab what little gas I have. I grab some food and water in case he needs any, and some new warm clothes and a blanket for him. Then I gear myself up. I put on some thick hiking socks, sweatpants, a backpack to carry my gear, puffy snow pants, a Hanes white tee, 2 sweaters, a jacket, a high-vis vest, thick leather winter gloves, insulated winter muck boots, a headband, and a motorcycle helmet to try and combat the snow and wind. That is how you know this is so treacherous. It's time to head out. It's about 11 PM. Wind gusts are still ripping outside and snow drifts can bring the visibility down to 0. The motorcycle helmet is a mixed bag of being a help and having snow stuck in my face, but overall a good choice. Now let me tell you that going to get this man was difficult. I'm a taller man myself, so the snowbanks weren't as much of a struggle for me, but unfortunately when the snow drifts go up to my mid-thigh and every step has my foot drop all the way down into the snow with no resistance, it leads to just walking becoming a big task in itself. So I'm making my way down the street and it's difficult. I get that I'm wearing a motorcycle helmet and it's hard to breathe in that, but even when the visor was lifted, it was still hard to breathe. Not only from the snow constantly blowing in my face, but also the fact that it was hard to walk. I'm in decent shape, but walking through these drifts is no easy task. I just want to reiterate, guys, in case you've forgotten, over a meter of snowfall and the temperature is -30. Eventually, I make it down my street and a few streets over, switching between easier and near impossible spots of walking along the way. I get to an automotive business and their building blocked a lot of the snow, which let me walk like normal for once in a long while. I keep tracking, but now I'm near a main road without buildings as densely packed, so the snow drifts are blinding at points and I need to go and focus on buildings and objects to know where I'm going. Eventually, I make it to the man's car after a good 40 minutes of walking when I only traveled 0.6 miles. So I get to the car and give him some clothes because that's mostly what he was interested in. Didn't care for any gas or food or water, but I made sure to offer it to him to be sure. He changes and gets ready to make the trek himself with my help. After a few minutes, he's ready and we're on our way. He says he talked with someone and he has a house he can go to be warm and safe for the night that's about 0.3 miles away. Alright, sounds good. Let's head there. We make our way there. The man is not well dressed for the weather, but you gotta work with what you've got. He's got regular sneakers on, his pants and my snow pants I gave him, the hat I gave him, the sweater I gave him, and his shirt underneath. He throws a blanket on his head as a kind of protection against the wind and snow. It's bad out. My tracks from just a few minutes ago are all but gone, but I know the way I'm going, so it's alright. We walk up the road to the cross street and quickly cross the street. It's hard to see or hear anything, so we can't really tell if a plow is coming, so we act fast to try and stay safe. Then we make it to the side street. Well, needless to say, that street hasn't been plowed in ages. Snow drifts near my chest and no pass available, so time to trailblaze and make our own. We need to make it like maybe 9 or 10 houses into the street, but with snow like this, we're barely progressing at all. I'm dressed for the conditions, so I'm only getting tired, The man I'm helping isn't doing great. Snow is accumulating on his face and he occasionally falls into the snowbanks and needs to recover. When we get near houses that block the wind, we take a break and relax because we need the energy to make it to this house and we can't give up. Well, eventually through more struggles, we do make it to the house. About 0.3 miles in 30 or so minutes. Okay, I've just done some quick mental maths here. By my calculations, that means that in 1 minute, these guys are going 15 meters. That's it. How slow? I mean, that just tells you this is crazy conditions. The person living in the house graciously lets us both in. I recover by warming up a little bit. The snow that's accumulated on me just starts dripping and melting, which I know is a bad sign for me. So I make my stop short so I'm not drenched in water on my trek back. The man I helped is very thankful and gets comfortable and warm for the first time in hours. But I can't stay long, so I tell him I'm glad he's safe, thank the homeowner, renter, or whoever the man that let me in was, and I go. Now on my way back home. It's a few minutes after midnight. Made it about a mile in about an hour. Not great, but it is what it is. It's another 0.6 or so miles home. My phone is getting caked with ice at this point, but surprisingly it keeps working throughout the whole trip without any issues. Sorry, yeah, that's very surprising. Normally if it's that cold, surely your phone would stop working. Fair play. Time to make my way back. I can actually see my trail this time, so I utilize my previous steps to try and make my walk back a little bit easier. I'm starting to struggle, but I know I can't stop. Eventually, I make it back to the street and see a front loader messing around with some snow for I'm assuming an emergency vehicle traffic. His windows are all iced and fogged up, and I can't even tell if he sees me. I've got my mission, so I stay the heck out of his way and I keep going. I give a wave and a thumbs up and keep making my way back home. I cross the street quickly because now I know the plows are around, so I gotta be out of their way. I'm back into my neighborhood. Now my trail is gone, but I know where I'm going, or at least I think I do, and I keep making my way. I take a pit stop and call the girlfriend at home and let her know I'm okay and all that jazz so she can relax. Phone call ends and I keep making my way. Snow is blocking up my visor and I've been constantly raising and lowering it this whole trip. The fog and ice is really blocking my vision, so I essentially need to keep the visor up to see and only lower it now to catch my breath or block the heavy snow gusts. My progress is really slowing now and my right leg is starting to hurt. It feels like I'm pulling something near my hip. Oh well, that's unfortunately not something I can dwell on while in the streets in a snowstorm. I keep making my way at a severely reduced pace and take a turn onto my street. Unfortunately, I was a bit exhausted and confused and made the turn one street too early and realized that about halfway down the street. Weighing my options, I decide I can't really keep going forward here without risking wasting even more time trying to get home. So I backtrack to where I made the wrong turn and continue on the correct path. Eventually, I make it one street further and make my correct turn. I'm getting exhausted at this point and my leg is really starting to bother me. No matter, gotta keep on going. I hook a left and I'm on the final stretch home. The foot trail is gone again, so I'm on my own for making a path. Snow drifts are getting bad and extremely difficult to get through. I start counting my paces and I can only make between 10 to 25, usually only 10, before I need to stop and catch my breath. Gotta keep going. That trail's on for a while. Eventually, I start walking right up against people's houses if the snowdrift made a path to walk where there was less snow. I'm close to home, but very, very tired. Thankfully, for the most part, the snow is at least at my back on this path. I keep struggling, but I can't give up. I'm making nearly no progress, but I gotta get home. Eventually, I can see my house light, but I still have little energy to make it there. 10 steps, 10 steps, 10 steps. I'm close. I see the last section of snow to near my house. 5 steps. My leg is really hurting. 5 more steps. Boom. Home. I'm exhausted and ready to drop. Okay, not gonna lie there, I was terrified for a second. I know you've written this post, so you must be alive, but for a second there I was worried.
Nickelodeon was kid everything, but that marked one of the darkest chapters. These are
Today we are grooming Daisy, a mutt in desperate need of a makeover.
Good girl, Daisy.
She is quite matted, so I'm taking her down in my number 7 blade.
I gotta shave these matted legs. No, no. Hey, 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 hey. Good girl. I think your tail. Where is your tail? Your face has got quite a bit of matting. Ma'am, please stay here. Good girl. You gotta let me do your eyeballs. It would be in your best interest not to move. No, 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 no. Hey. Shh, shh, shh. I gotta do your eyeballs. They said last time they got injured, and if you move like that, I can see why. It's okay. Good girl. Good girl. Good girl. Hey, 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 hey. You're stinky. It's okay, little girl. You're okay. How tiny you are. Oh, you're okay. You're okay. You have a very smelly face. It's okay. I gotta rinse it. Relax. It's okay. Now you don't stink anymore. Okay. Ma'am, why are you laying down? You fell victim to the home haircut. How am I going to fix this now? Nope, nope.
In the end, her haircut wasn't perfect, but she sure looked a heck of a lot better than she did when she came in.
Batiste Touch and Sweat Activated Dry Shampoo for long-lasting freshness.
Hello, everybody.
Welcome to
We
Sports Lava Boy.
My favorite movie, Wii Sports Lava Boy.
You should have seen the Discord channel for video ideas when this was announced.
It actually just exploded.
Everybody freaked out because this is the sequel to Shark Boy and Lava Girl, but
It's a sequel the same way Spy Kids 4 was a sequel.
So it wasn't.
yeah, essentially. I actually enjoy this movie.
Oh, it's a fun one.
I have a question.
What's that?
Do we have any reviews?
This is from Book Lover 489. Ooh, terrible superhero ripoff with cliched messages. The producers showed little originality with an overused character and villain trope. The character depth, development, and overall plot was delivered poorly.
If you're looking for a superhero movie with an entertaining, unpredictable plot and characters, this is not it.
This is a superhero movie, and you're getting mad about the realism.
And the plot, you know how every superhero movie has a really unique plot?
Guys, I think this review read my mind.
Helped me decide.
I had to buy a Netflix subscription for this movie. You know how expensive Netflix is, so huge shout out to our sponsor.
We don't need a sponsor to afford Netflix.
Raid Shadow Legends. Unless you've been living cut off from society in an underground bunker for like the last 20 years, you've probably heard about Raid. It's a
turn-based action RPG on iOS, Android, and PC.
There's over 500 champions for you to choose from.
That's like half a thousand.